Look at that. 414, 414, 144. Time I started. Paul on him like Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right. I like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Paul Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Barak Qadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and the like-minded brothers who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aqua that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. The brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. All right. And as always, we come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of America, which is known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures. All right. And to prophesy the downfall of the so-called white man, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right. And salvation is preached unto you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speak of. All right. And then it's now high time to awake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than we believe. All right. And I'm going to be out here for a little bit. I ain't going to be out here long like I normally am. All right. Because Lord willing, you know, usually at the end of the year, I usually do like 6 days in a row, you know, all the way to New Year's, you know. So Lord willing, the Lord put the spirit on me again to do it this year. Last year, I think I did like 6 days in a row. All right. So, you know, I'm going to start off with just like I'm going to do like a little hour basically based on, you know, everybody worshiping this pagan holiday today. You know, you got everybody running home and doing their last minute shopping, you know, to go, you know, worship Satan at the end of the day. Okay. So I figure I'll come out here and just speak on it a little something. You know, like I said, we got 7 days left. All right. Till 2026. Okay. Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Barakatah. Okay. So, you know, going into this, and look at that. Speaking of Satan, here comes a demon already coming down the street. Right. So, you know, going into this word, right? You know, these people are getting ready to celebrate a pagan ass holiday, all right, that the Lord hates. You know, at the end of the day, let's matter of fact, let's start off with that. This is Isaiah. This is Isaiah 1. And I'll take it from 13, right? It says, bring no more oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feast, my soul hateth. Okay? They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yeah, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. All right. And it was basically going into, you know, the corruption of Judah at the time. You see? So, you know, they were doing all types of, you know, wicked things, abominated, you know, celebrating abominated things in the ways of the heathen. Okay. Taking the Lord's Sabbaths and doing it their own ways. You see? Having their own new moons established and shit like that. Okay. So the Lord was pissed off at our people. Okay. For doing that at the end of the day. All right. But the main focal point that we had there was, he said, my bad, I lost it. Because I got to hold my damn, it's windy too. So I don't want my damn camera to fly. All right, let me grab that again. Matter of fact, you know, I'll grab it from my phone instead. So I can hold. It said the feast days I hated, his soul hated, right? So our people right now are getting ready to basically, you know, celebrate again this pagan ass holiday that they have no understanding about. All right, which I have a book I'm gonna go into a little bit of it. All right, showing you, all right, what this holiday is really about. Okay, this is Isaiah 1 and go back to 14. It says, your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hated. All right, they are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. When you go into the NLT, it says, I hate your new moon celebrations and your annual festivals. You see, and our people, right now, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are prepared, all right, for this whole entire week, basically. Because right after this wicked ass pagan holiday, right, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna go celebrate New Year's Eve, okay? Which it's not even the new year when you go to celebrate, man, because the new year was not in the dead smack of winter, okay? Winter represents everything being dead. It's cold, you see? So at the end of the day, okay, our new year starts in the month of Abib, all right, which is usually goes into April, the end of March, okay? Because everything in the spring is brand new. It's springing up, so it's coming back forth new. All right, so that's what a new year is really about. But when they celebrate in the dead smack of winter, they really think that that's an actual, a new year being set. Okay, and that ain't nothing but the traditions of men. You see, so the Lord right now is going to be very wroth. All right, and bring a lot of judgment upon our people that are sitting together at round tables. They singing all types of wicked ass songs. All right, they doing all types of abominated prayers onto the Lord, singing kumbaya. All right, and at the end of the day, you're about to pass gifts, all right, and the traditions of the heathens, man. Shalom malak Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Okay, so let's grab this real quick. This is called the Strong Delusions, right? And it's funny because it got Santa right on the fucking front of it, right? Strong Delusion, Christianity's institutionalized witchcraft, all right? Because at the end of the day, these people come with rebellion. All right, let's grab that. This is 1 Samuel. All right. Rebellion is that witchcraft, KJV. This is 1 Samuel 15 and 23. And it says, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness as iniquity and idolatry, because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord Yahweh. He has also rejected thee from being king. Okay, so you have to understand that when you rebel against the Lord, and here it is that we'll come out year after year, make hundreds of videos, all right, thousands of, 1,000 videos throughout the year, and we'll basically tell you the same thing over and over, telling you that you're rebelling when you celebrate these pagan holidays against Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Why? Because here it is, you have, all right, our holy day, our own holy days that the Lord has appointed for us. Okay, and then we'll try to teach it to you people, all right, and you people look at us like we nuts, like we crazy. But here it is, you'll take on the custom and the custom of a heathen, all right, and you'll go all out for this shit. You see? Now, hey, don't get me wrong. We was all part of that lifestyle at one point. We was out there selling, buying all types of gifts for our kids and busting our ass for the whole week, just to make ends meet. All right, to be able to put a present under the Christmas tree and everything. All right, but when we came into this truth, we acknowledged and realized that, hey, we were setting ourselves up for death. So we come out here and give you the jewels, right? The same exact thing that we learned, we come out here and we'll spread it out to our people. And our people get offended when we bring these things out. Oh, it's just a holiday, we're just doing it for the kids, we're just doing it, to please our wives. All right. Scriptures say, why trimmest thou ways to seek love? At the end of the day, if it's wicked and the Lord said that it's wicked, that's what it is through the Spirit. So why go out there and worship something that the Lord told you not to, right? Why go and worship something, all right, that's completely satanic, all right, without you actually having the actual understanding and doing the research? You see, when you go into Christmas, man, that's a pagan ass holiday, all right? That whole Christmas tree literally sitting in the middle of your in your living room, it represents a whole penis, man. Okay, literally. You have to have the understanding of that, man. That goes back to Nimrod. You see, Remember, we had these different different traditions of men that were put upon us, all right, in different times of us being, in captivity. And we always had learned the ways of the heathen, man. So it goes all the way back to Nimrod at the end of the day. Okay? And it's a spiritual thing when we do it. All right. As a matter of fact, let me grab this. This is Wisdom of Solomon. All right. I see a couple of precepts. I'll bring that out. All right. This is a Wisdom of Solomon. Hold on. This is 14 and I'll take it from 12. It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. Okay? So at the end of the day, we do these things spiritually without even realizing it, because you'll have people's mindset talking about, oh, well, I'm just doing it for the kids. I'm just trying to make everybody happy. It's a joyful holiday. 'Tis the season to, celebrate and be with your families. Well, we say, fuck that. Okay. Because all of that is just putting nothing but demons on your ass for the week, for the year, for the rest of the year. All right. And it's making our Lord, which is a jealous power, pissed off, man. Okay. The Lord ain't got no time for you to be, worshiping these heathens holidays, man. The Lord gave us our own holidays, our own customs, our own heritage to follow after. Okay. And it's just spiritual that our people love to do the things that the heathens do, man. So when we come out here and we'll give you the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and tell you, listen, man, you got to celebrate your holy days. All right. We just had Hanukkah. Hanukkah just passed. I think it was on the 21st it ended. All right. So here it is that we had 8 days basically of us, exchanging gifts, which is way better, all right, than you going all out for one fucking day, And then the thing is that you go to these stores and everything's at a high ass price because they know that you have to buy, They put all these other abominated ass things on the shelves for you, to make you completely go off. Because not only are you going off spiritually by celebrating these holidays, right? But then you're going out there and you buying all these abominated ass gifts. All right. Then you're going to go sit down at the damn table and you're going to put abominated ass food right on the table. Okay. So going to Wisdom of Solomon 14, and let's take it to 27, right? It says, for the worshiping of idols, all right, and it's an idol at the end of the day, because these people worship Christmas. They look forward to it every year. So see, you worship it. Okay, whether you sit there and you're bowing down on your knees and worshiping the tree or not, all right, you're still worshiping the damn holiday because you're looking forward to it every single year. You get people that get in a certain spirit. Oh my God, I can't wait for Christmas. I can't. This is my favorite time of the year. People go outside and they decorate their homes. Go all out and spend thousands of dollars on lights. Your light bill's fucking $2,000-$3,000 for the month. Because you don't put a whole bunch of Christmas lights up, you see. So these people in a weird way, they'll worship it. Okay. So it says, for the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Okay. So we're not even supposed to be making mention of these things. The same way we're not supposed to be making mention of other gods. We're not supposed to be making mention, all right, of these different holidays. Okay, everything's it's supposed to be in the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. We're supposed to be in holy conversation, right? So we're supposed to be constantly speaking of the ways, our customs, all right, and culture that the Lord has given us. You see, that's why our people continually to stay straight away from these things, man, because they're so caught up in the heathens' ways that they can never actually speak of the ways of the Lord. You see? Let me grab a couple of these precepts. This is Shalom. Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah, the brother Mashak. All right. Shalom, sister Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. All right, this is Malachi 3 and 14. It says, ye have said it is vain to serve Yahweh. And what profit is that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord Yahweh of hosts. And now we call Malachi 3 and 15, and now we call the proud happy. Yeah, they that work wickedness are set up. Yeah, they that tempt Yahweh are even delivered. You see? So you had our people, right? Literally, all right, they were looking at us every time. They think it's a vain thing to worship the Lord. Okay? Matter of fact, let me grab this. This is, I believe this is Joshua. This is Joshua 24 and 14. It says, now therefore fear the Lord Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and in truth. All right. And that's what we try to do to the best of our ability. Okay. We're not perfect. All right. But we know our heritage. We know our customs. So we're going to celebrate. All right. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. And sincerity and in truth. It says, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord Yahweh. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in those in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? So, see, these people want to look at us like we're nuts when we tell them about their customs and their heathens, man. But here, we're going to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai accordingly, man. You see? As a matter of fact, let me grab this other preset. Bring no curse into thy house, KJV. Right? So, this is Deuteronomy 7 and 26. It says, I'll take it from 25, 7. From 25, 7 and 25. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to the Lord Yahweh thy power. All right, because our people were taking on these customs, right? So the Lord was trying to make us burn these things, take them away from us, man. All right, because if you don't take yourself away from these customs, all right, and these different gods, you are going to be snared into these gods. You're going to be snared into the traditions, the traditions of these men, right? It says, neither shalt thou bring in an abomination into thine house, lest thou be cursed, be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. All right, so here it is. You'll bring a Christmas tree into your house, you know. You'll bring a bunch of heathens into your house, okay, to celebrate this damn holiday with you. See, you become cursed just like them. You become cursed just like that Christmas tree. You become cursed just like that idol that you're worshiping and putting your all into. Okay? And that's a very important thing, because now, that, like I said, you'll celebrate all these damn wicked ass holidays, right? Pagan holidays at that. And then for the next week, you're all bugged out because you got all these crazy ass demons upon you, man. Now your kids is all, you know, acting a damn fool for a whole week straight. Their asses is home from school all the way till January 2nd. Now your kids is acting up and beating each other up through the spirit, you know? Why? Because you have put curses upon you and your family, you and your household, man, by taking on these customs, all right? Let's grab, it says, howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines, the commandments of men. All right. Yeah, the precept didn't come out on that. I know what you're talking about too. Let me grab that real quick. The commandments of men, KJV. This is Matthew 15:9. It says, but in vain they do worship. Let's just take it from 8. It says, this people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. You see? So they'll claim to know the Lord, all right, but they don't do the will of the Lord. See, you can't just be a hearer of the word. You have to be a doer of the word also. You can't just say, oh, I love God, and that's it. You see? These people, that's how they think. Their mentality is, okay, I know a little bit of the scriptures. I love my God, you see? And then they think they saved. They think that everything is all good. You see, but they honor it with the lips, right? But their heart, meaning their mind, is completely straight away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's why the Lord said, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, right? So the Lord has rejected them, right? It says, but in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Okay? So they'll worship the things that Esau has taught them to worship. All right? That's why they'll make these holidays every month. Don't you realize every month is a damn freaking wicked ass holiday? And then they'll put all these advertisements and all these different commercials and get you prepared for it in the store, you know? Fucking Christmas ain't even around yet, and it's like you're in the dead smack of Halloween, and Christmas shit is already being put out, you know? These are all commandments of men through the Spirit, okay? They'll tell you, hey, Christmas is coming, celebrate it, and you'll sit there and you'll listen to it, okay? So, going down, right? This is Jonah 2:8, all right? They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy, you see? So going after these traditions, right? You forsaking your own mercy. Why? Because you're choosing to do wickedness over the knowledge of the Lord, you know, over your own true customs that the Lord gave you, all right? So by you doing it and walking in those ways, right, you take yourself away from your own mercy, you see? The Lord has came back with this truth to be able to give you mercy, for you to turn away from the wicked ways of the world. All right. As he got next, you know, you're not supposed to love the world. Okay. Let's grab that. 1 John 2:15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Okay. And all these traditions and all these holidays are of the world. You see, the Lord told you to stay away from the world. Okay, James 4:4. Let's grab that. This is James 4:4. It says, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with Yahweh? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see? So you're literally becoming an enemy to the Lord, all right, by going in the ways of the world, okay? The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the world, all that shit passeth away, man, through the Spirit, all right? And it's going to be a literal thing. It's going to be a physical thing that this place passes away, okay? So you're considered as an enemy unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, okay? This is Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy. All right, because that's what this is. This ain't nothing but a philosophy. Okay. See, what we give you is not a philosophy. All right. It's the truth. It's the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. It's the will of the Lord. It's his reasonable service. All right. It's the service of the Lord. See, the Lord created us to worship him. He didn't create these other nations to worship him. You see, he create all these other nations, all right, to follow in our customs, the giving of the law, the service of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the adoption, all right, the promises, the covenants was all given to the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You see? So it's not given to them, it's given to us. So we're not supposed to let philosophy spoil us, and we are spoiled through the philosophy of America. Okay? Going all the way back to the garden, you see? That's how Eve managed to fuck it up for everybody in society and life completely because she wanted to go after the philosophy that was fed onto her. You see, and by following that philosophy, all right, death was brought into the world, man. Right. So let's finish that up. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach." You see, so they rather choose to, live pleasures of sin that are done for a season than to suffer with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You see, they don't really appreciate Yahweh Shai, man. Because here it is that the Lord sacrificed his own body for us to return to the Lord and have this knowledge, right? For him to be able to trample down on his enemies later, okay? But here it is when we give you the truth, all right? You're looking at it like with two dinner plates, man. And we looking at us like we crazy, like we got 5 heads. You see? This is Hebrews 11 and, oh, that's the spirit. Hebrews 11 and 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. You see? And them pleasures come like this, man. These holidays, that's why they come and they go. All right? And you can feel it too. Whenever you celebrate these holidays, man, you can feel when you're done with it, you're like something is missing. Like I didn't do enough. Why? Because it was a pleasure of sin that was for a moment. Okay? But see, when you celebrate the real holy days of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, it feels good. All right? When you stay in the customs that the Lord has given us, you feel it through the spirit, everything, because you're doing righteously, you're doing the right thing. You know? When I was done with Hanukkah, I felt good. I'm sure the brotherhood and the few sisters, that follow, they felt the same exact way. Why? Because through the spirit, all right, you're not fornicating against the Lord, man. You're not worshiping some idol, all right, that's completely going off, that the Lord is going to be pissed off and jealous about. Remember, the Lord is a jealous power. So when we don't follow the ways of the Lord, man, he becomes jealous. And when he becomes jealous, that's when judgment comes. You see? So let's grab this. All right. Grab a little bit of this pagan ass holiday, right? I'll read a couple of pieces. All right. This is matter of fact, let's speak on that because it says, when was the Messiah born? Because a lot of people try to tell you that Christmas is when our Lord was born. Again, that's going way off. Because why would the Lord be born in the dead smack of winter, man? All right. As a matter of fact, when you go into give me 1 second. Forgot exactly where it's at. Hold on, real quick. Salaki, bear with me. I believe it's in Acts, the first chapter. Oh man, where is that? Trying to remember where it speaks, because when it speaks about Yahushua being born, it speaks about they had the you could tell it was in the middle of spring because they had the sheep were still outside. All right. As a matter of fact, hold on. I know exactly where it's at. If I'm correct. Yep, Luke. This is Luke 2 and yeah, here you go. Luke 2 to Wada Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. This is Luke 2, and I'll take it from 5. It says, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while there was there, the days were accomplished that should be delivered and should be brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were in the same country, shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. You see, so when you had Yahushua being born, you have shepherds that were out in the field and they were attending to their flock by night. Okay, when it's cold, all right, your sheep have to come into the barn. They're not supposed to be in the outside because it's cold. So that's how you know that they were outside of the barn and they were attending to their flock in the night. So in order for the sheep to be out, all right, that shows that it was already a time of nice weather, okay, which was in the middle of spring. You see, so everything was being made new. Okay, in spring, everything is made new. Yahushua was being made new. Yahushua was being born, all right, in the time of things being made new. You see, that's why spiritually Yahushua make all things new, okay? So there's no way that the Lord was born in the middle of Christmas, man, all right, in the dead smack of winter of December, all right, where everything is dead. All right, see, this is why you have Esau that worships these holidays, because this is it. This is his season, man. That's why you'll see a damn Edomite come out with no fucking shirt. He'll come out with some damn shorts and the dead smack of winter, and they be all right, because they ain't got no melanin in their body, man. You see? They just as good as dead. Just like the winter is dead, they dead. Okay? So that whole tradition and philosophy of man, all right, that our Lord was born in the middle of winter is going way off, man. All right? So let's grab this. It says, worship of Moloch, the worship of Shaitan. Okay? It seems incredible that people don't know the origins of things they teach their children. Many cultures embrace the mythology and concept known today as Santa Claus. All right, which when you look at Santa, all right, it spells Satan. Okay, and this character has been known by many other names. If you thoroughly research and the subject and don't stop at the Germanic source, you will find it traces back to the detestable idol of the Moabites, Moloch. Okay, unwanted children were immolated in the lap of a furnace of this idol. Yeah, and that's why when you go to the damn malls, you know, the schools will take your kids on trips, you know, and take them to a place where they have basically Santa, all right, ready to put one of them children on his laps and take a picture. See, remember, everything is a spiritual thing. All right, see, they can't see it because the natural man can't receive the things of the spirit. All right, but see, we judge all things through the spirit. All right, so we understand that when you take a child and you put him on the lap of Satan, that is basically going back to the worshiping of Moloch. All right. And what did they do with Moloch? They used to take the children, the babies, all right, and they will put them on their lap, all right. And that lap of Moloch, the statue, will open up and it will drop them into a furnace and you will sacrifice your baby. Okay. So just because you ain't doing that today, which they actually still do that shit to this day, all right. But see, that's what the Illuminati does. They hide and do these things. That's why they underground tunnels, underground worlds they have. You know, that's why you know, thousands and thousands of kids get, you know, kidnapped on a daily basis, you know, around these times of holidays, because they got to do these rituals, you know, where people can't see them. All right. And now they're getting more bold to the point where they just do rituals right in front of your face and you could care less. But when you take your children to sit on Santa's lap, you're actually worshiping Moloch, man. Okay. And that's what, and it's a spiritual thing. You see, and that's what you're doing. You're putting them curses upon you. All right. It says, unwanted children were immolated in the lap of furnace of this idol. The surrounding throngs would ring bells and rattlers to overwhelm the dying screams of the infants. Calling Santa or Satan by his earlier name Moloch will likely be the last thing the media will ever do. Why? Because they don't want you to know these things, because they want to make complete money off of you. You see? And for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they just want to have you constantly in sin. You see? Because when you constantly sin before our power, all right, that's why you're always giving it to the hands of the enemies. You see? That's why we can never get out of the captivity that we're in. Okay? Because you're constantly in sin. So the Lord turns his face away from us every time we sin. Right? So it says, does Yahushai like us to learn how pagans worship their deities and then to honor him in their way? Alternately, can we just make up names to call him and adopt our own ideas of how we want to worship him? Okay, it says first some big words. What is syncretism? It says reconciliation of different beliefs. Okay, and it says from Greek syncretimos. All right, and that shows you that we go into these different Greek customs. All right, let me grab this real quick. This is Jeremiah 10:1. It says, hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at it. All right, so that's a commandment. The Lord said, learn not the ways of the heathen, man. It says, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, and the work of the hands of the workmen with an axe. All right, and you see that to this day. All right, you'll literally go to, like, around here, they'll do it at the fire stations. You know, wherever there's a fire station, you'll see a bunch of men that have gone literally to the woods and have cut out a tree from the woods, a pine tree. All right, and they bring them to where the fire station is, and they stack them up and they sell them. You see, going into what you're reading right now, right? For the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with the silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, not to move it. Yeah, so when you take a Christmas tree, you plant it in a real Christmas tree, not one of these fake plastic ones that you get at Walmart, man. But when you get a real Christmas tree, which these heathens really love going to the actual woods to get a pine smelling tree, all right, they have to fasten it at the bottom with this thing that it sits in, and you put the water in it, and they fasten it with the nail to lock it in. You see, back then they were doing it with a hammer and locking it in, but now they have all these different types of, you know, rigs to basically hold up your tree. Okay, then you deck it with the lights. Okay, then you deck it with the tinsel, the gold, the garland. All right, which all of that shit goes back into paganism, man, because it all represents a certain thing. when you put the ornaments, the balls, right, it actually represents the testicles, man. When you put the tinsel and all that garland around it, it's supposed to represent the jizz, okay? The sperm that comes from the balls of this penis, right? See, this is how deep it goes into it, all right? But our people don't have that understanding, and they can't see it neither. You tell somebody that loves Christmas, they look at you like a damn fool. They'll laugh at you. They'll be like, what the hell are you fucking talking about? But see, if you did some worship, so like some research, all right, instead of worshiping it, you would understand these things, man. Okay? And then when it comes to the time of Christmas, all right, a lot of pagan rituals are being done, all right, because we're in the winter solstice. Okay, so being in the winter solstice, all right, these Illuminati members, all right, they do a whole bunch of sacrifices with children, you know. They'll have all these sexual orgies, okay, a bunch of kids being involved with it. You see? So continuing on, all right, just trying to grab pieces out of it. Yeah, see right here, it shows you a picture of the Christmas tree, right? And it shows you that it goes into representing a phallus. You see? A phallus, which is male fertility. Okay? I don't know if you can see it. You might not be able to see it. Okay? It represents a phallus, man. The wreath, all right, that you put on your door represents female fertility. Okay? Schemes of the devil. It says in ancient Moab, Moloch's lap was a red hot furnace where priests placed children for immolation. Today, parents place their children into the lap of a big fat man. Yeah, and most of the men that you put in your children on the lap of, all right, a lot of them niggas be straight pedophiles, man. You could literally see that they're that's why he always looked the way he looked, man. Okay, some fat sloppy ass nigga, all right, that when he go home, he gonna beat his shit to all the children, you know, he done took on his lap, all right. They have all these pictures, they got doubles of the pictures that you got, okay. They give you the one that's the best, but what do you think they do with the rest of them pictures, man? They probably give it to little pedophile Santa, okay. It says a big fat man that supposedly comes through fire to visit an Asherah tree decorated with symbols of male fertility. The fireplace, wreath, female item, tree, male items, the big red fat man, and the fact that he's the color of red, all right? Because it all goes back to Esau, man. Okay? Esau was born was born red as a hairy garment. And the date being the ancient times celebrated as the sun's rebirth. At all point to occulted aspects concerning fertility. How is Yahushua in any of this? Yahushua never taught his people to celebrate their birthday. That comes from astrology, the old religion of Babel. See, it all goes back to Nimrod. Knowing the origins of the birthday, we've just investigated whose birthday is December 25th. All right. Who is Santa? Okay. Who is Santa? Old Saint Nick. Okay, Olden Moloch, when you break that word down, Satan goes into Santa. Child sacrifice, Moloch's lap concealed in oven. All right, and you can see, all right, how they have them on they putting the children on the lap of Moloch. Okay, let's grab. What is a Christmas tree? The truth will set you free, but it won't be popular, and that's facts. It's the same thing with us. When we're giving you this word, we're not popular. We're hated. We're hated for us giving you the truth and telling you that you're doing wickedly. So our people come up against us. Our own people come up against us, man. Right? It says, the fact that we need to ask this question indicates the object is not self-explanatory. The meaning and source is hidden from view. And these objects are now widely accepted by nearly all secular and religious people alike. Ancient worship depicted sexual symbols of fertility, interpreted through arcane occult objects. People set their hearts on what is under the tree, And in at least 10 places of scripture, we read about something happening under the tree. Here's one. All right, Jeremiah 2:20. For of old you have broken your yoke and tore off your bonds. Look at that judgment about to go out somewhere. Somebody probably got strangled by some Christmas lights. Right? It says, for of old you have broken your yoke and tore off your bonds, and you said, I am not serving you, when on every hill, high hill, and under every green tree, you laid down a whore. Okay? And hey, our people was doing that, you know, laying all, they were worshiping all types of weirdo shit under every green tree, you know. And that all goes back to, you know, worshiping this pagan holiday of Christmas, you know. They need cakes of dough, you know, making a sacrifice onto the Queen of Heaven. Okay. They do that the most when it comes to, like, you know, holidays like Mother's Day, you know, when you go to celebrate Easter. All right. All that shit goes into woman fertility, women worship. All right. Queen of Heaven spirit. All right. It says, let's see what else I could grab. All right. It says Christmas is witchery, the occult, hidden, hiding, Salaki, hiding the origin of something or to block the meaning of it. Both raise suspicion in us. If we are walking in truth, we must search out everything we practice and teach our children. Here is the definition of the word occult: secret, not divulged. All right, from El occultus, hidden, concealed, secret. Right, cover, over, conceal. To hide, symbolically meaning not apprehended by the mind. Okay. And see, that's how they feed you with that strong delusion. All right. When you go into this word delusion, right? The word delusion goes into a idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or a rational argument, typically a symptom of mental disorder. You see, and that's what it is. Our people had, that's why the Lord said in Isaiah, the 1st chapter, all right, the whole head is sick, okay? Because we have a mental disorder at the end of the day, man. Yeah, because they leave cookie and milk for Santa. Yeah, yeah. You see, that shit goes into pedophilia, okay? Leaving the cookie and the milk. The milk probably represents, you know, a whole, you know, whole thing of sperm, basically, okay? Like the brother said, it's all idolatry, man. Only time you'll see a wreath is at a funeral or a front door on Christmas. They still can't do the math. Exactly. You never see, matter of fact, they hang them up in every street light too. When it comes, you know, certain places around here, they always do that. Every street light, they got a damn wreath, man. And it's true. You never see a wreath anywhere else except a funeral and at the time of Christmas, man. You see? Nobody has that shit on a normal basis at their house because, oh my God, a wreath looks nice. See, that's the idolatry. That's the spiritual meaning of these things, man. Because that demon only comes around that time. You see, when it's conjured up, that's why they'll put it in the stores and they start speaking about it a month and a half early. They're already conjuring up the demon. All right. So when that time comes, right, there it's right there in front of your face. And now you're taking that demon home with you. Now you curse like that demon. Okay. It says synonyms, right, of mental disorder: misapprehension, misconception, misunderstanding, mistake, error, misinterpretation, misbelief, fallacy, illusion, and fantasy. All right. And that's all witchcraft, man. That's all sorceries and witchcraft that the Lord puts on your mind to be under strong delusion. And ultimately it's coming from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Because the Lord finds you as a reprobate mind, so he puts you under strong delusion to believe the things which are not truth. right? To do things that are not convenient. Okay? It says a deluded mind is a carnal mind. The mind of the flesh will not submit to Yahweh Shai, man. Nor is it able to do so. Why? Because they are malicious souls, man. All right? Their intents are not of the Lord. Their intents are not to do righteously. All right? As the scriptures say, can an Ethiopian change his skin or a leper his spots? Okay? So can you change the minds of those that are accustomed to do evil? Roughly paraphrasing it. You can't change those that are meant to do evil, man. They're just going to always do it. All right? And because judgment is not executed speedily, all right? And they keep doing the same thing. That's why their hearts are set to continually do the wickedness. You see, but there's going to be a time of judgment, and it's right around the corner, you know, from all them years of you doing wickedness before the sight of the Lord. Okay? The Lord ain't got no, look at that. You got our people over there, you know, Christmas hats on. Judite women's, okay? Dressing up in green. You know, they really go hardcore into this shit, man. But see, that's why the scriptures tell you in Jeremiah 4:22, my people are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge, man. So they'll go all out in something wicked, put their mind completely to it, all right? But when it comes to you learning, you know, the true jewels of the Lord, they can't even wrap their mind around it even 5 minutes. Here it is. These niggas will have a full-blown conversation on a pagan-ass holiday at the dinner table for fucking hours, drinking their sorrows away and drinking it all up and laughing and giggling. But they can't even listen to the word of the Lord for 5 minutes, bro. For 5 minutes, they can't even listen to the word. See, that's diabolical right there. That's demonic. Okay? See, when it comes to the word of the Lord, Jake got a low attention span, man. Okay? But when it comes to the bullshit, the nonsense, the philosophies, they all ears, man. Everything that we preach to them goes through one ear and out the other. Okay? Let's grab a little bit more. So about to close it out anyway. Like I said, I'm not gonna be here long. Okay? I got 7 days of coming out these highways and hedges. Lord willing, Yahweh Ratazah put that spirit on me like he normally do. All right. This is it says, can we adopt a detestable thing and believe it is now cleansed because we don't think about the true origin of it? Yeah. You can't at the end of the day because, see, you're already cursed like onto it. So you'll never be cleansed. Okay? Here it is. The nigga will talk about, oh, I love the Lord. You know I'm cleansed. But yeah, he out there eating pork. Or he's celebrating an abominated ass holiday. You know, a pagan holiday at that. Okay? Let's see what else he got in here. It says the trees, right? Asherim, all right? It says is a word often translated as groves, meaning trees. Right? I just read that Jeremiah 10:2 is being mentioned, right? Deuteronomy 7:26. All right, I read that. All right. I already told you what the tree represents. It represents a penis in the middle of your living room, right? Let me see what else it says. The Christmas tree is an Azarah, a sexual object learned from the witch Jezebel, the wife of Ahab. It was a pattern from Babel. This witch, Isabel, right, supported 450 prophets of Baal, the Lord Yahweh, Baal, and 400 prophets of Azarah, the consort of Baal. The Hebrew word Baal means Lord. All right. It says, and is the device of Shaitan whereby he deceives the nations. Okay. Translator removed the true name of Yahweh Shah from the scriptures and replaced it with Lord. Look at that. I didn't even know they say that in this part. All right, and that's facts. You see, they did that on for a reason. All right, so you didn't have to know the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So you didn't have to know the name of our people. I mean, of our power. Okay, that's why our people are caught up with Jesus. You know, they caught up with all these different other names of the world. All right. This is John 3:19. It says, and this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light because the deeds were evil. Yeah. You see, everything is as backwards. Was light, all right, it's considered as darkness. Was darkness is considered as light. Was sweet is considered as bitter, and was bitter is considered as sweet. All right. So everything is backwards, and everybody's minds is backwards and corrupted to the point where they believe, all right, that darkness is their light. You see, they rather see something wicked being done, all right, and they'll be infatuated with it, all right, instead of being infatuated with the truth. See, this is how you know our spirit resonates with the Lord, man, because when we heard this truth, all right, it literally set our mind free, man, from everything. Everything made sense. Everything clicked, all right, and we seen the wickedness through the spirit, all right, of everything. You know, before we actually see it physically, man, we'll look at it through the spirit. You know, that's why we're able to discern something through somebody. You know, we could see the demon on these people. You know, they speak a certain way. We already know, like, yeah, nah, we got to stay away from that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because we were given the spirit to see things, the eye salve. All right. So we saw, okay, that these things were darkness, that they were leading us to our death. But see, these people don't have the eye salve. So the darkness just, you know, their darkness is illuminated in their body, man. All right. With wickedness. See, we're illuminated with the light. Okay. That's why the darkness can't comprehend the light. That's why when we bring out the word of the Lord, it stirs their demons up. It stirs their minds up, and they want to argue and be offended, you know, because they can't comprehend the righteousness of the Lord, because they were intended to do evil. They were accustomed to be wicked. All right. See what else it says here. It says, thus causing the identity of Yahushua to be stolen. All right. Baal and Azra are crawling all over Christian minds. Yeah. And that's Christianity, man, listen, as bad as Christianity is doing, okay, that shit still got a fucking stronghold on our people on a whole nother level, man. Okay. It says, the mind is the true battleground of the war in heaven. All right. Which that, you know, there ain't gonna be no war in heaven. All right. The war in heaven is gonna be when the chariots is fighting against these fighter jets, man. But see, what we can say better, right? That mind is the true battleground of Shaitan, of these strongholds, man, of these philosophies. Because that's why, see, these people, they think with their emotions rather than to think with their with common sense, man. That's why when we come into the truth, we tell anybody else that's coming into the truth, you can't have emotion, man. Okay? Because having an emotion, all right, is going to destroy you. You'll come out with the saying, oh, well, damn, man, like, really, I can't celebrate that no more? But what about the kids, you know? What about my mom? Like, my mom loves it so much. She makes all this food on these days. Well, fuck that, man. You got to learn a way to get away from it, to stray away from it, because it's going to destroy you. Because Satan will even use your own people against you, man. Satan will jump in the minds of those that don't believe. So they'll come out and say things like that. And because that's your mother and you don't want to disrespect her, and you trying to honor her to the best of your best ability, you know, or whoever it is in your family, you know, they'll come and try to sweet talk you, and that ain't nothing but Satan, man. That's one of the biggest things that our people have, that they end up falling away from the truth, man, because the cares of this life. You see, you got to learn how to stand up for the Lord, because the Lord comes first, man. The Lord is what gives you your life. The Lord is what got you standing up still right now. because we shall all be dead. We shall all be put down, all right, because we've been that wicked. But see, every day that you're alive, that's the Lord showing you some type of mercy, all right? If you're of the elect, some of you niggas is just completely wicked and you're alive because the Lord is reserving you for the day of judgment. You see? So you got to be careful with that, man. All right. Let's see what else real quick, because I'm about to close out. Yeah, now the rest is going into something else. Yeah, now it's going into witches and shit like that. This is a good ass book though. If you ain't never get this book, Strong Delusion, it's $5 on Instagram, fucking Amazon. You know what I'm saying? And it breaks down all the holidays that are pagan holidays, man. Now they're gonna use the name Yahuwah and all that shit, but you already know through the spirit. We just replaced that with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, because even these people that are breaking this down, right? They don't even truly believe in the names of the Lord. All right, but see, they have done research. Remember, we're, as the scriptures say, you know, use the world but not abuse it. All right, so there's certain things that because this is written by what? This is written by a damn Edomite, man. All right, Lou White. Okay, but see, their own tongue shall fall upon themselves, man. And you might have some our people that'll write a book and give you some knowledge, you know, but they don't know the true names of the Lord. But see, you use the world, you use the things that are, you got to learn how to chew the meat and spit out the bones, man. All right, you got to know how to take certain things through the spirit, all right, and use it for educational purposes, and then you keep it moving on. You can't use everything that's written in these books because the scriptures say that none shall want her mate. All right, seek ye out the book, none shall want her mate, meaning that this book don't go with any other book. All right, so you have to just seek in the word of the Lord. All right, you have to break down the Hebrew, the Greek, to have the full understanding. You have to break down these words because words come from root words. All right, as long as you stick to that, you'll be all right. The Lord's he's going to spread your he's going to guide your spirit where it needs to go. Okay, that's how we move. We move by faith and not by sight. Okay, we let the Lord stir our spirit. All right, having this understanding, and then when you see something's going on, you already know to stay away from it through the spirit, you know. But let me see. I believe I hit the points that I wanted. I'll leave it with this. Okay, this is Isaiah 5. Salakia, not Isaiah 5, Amos 5. Let me just grab it from my phone. I think it's just frozen already. I ain't only been out here for an hour. That's crazy. It was nice as hell out all day. This is Amos 5 and 15. Actually 20. 21. It says, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. So the Lord is telling you he hate and he despised every single feast day that our people worship after the customs of the heathen, man. Okay? It says, I will not smell in your solemn assemblies, man. All right? Because to them, this is a solemn assembly. They take it serious. All right? But when in reality, the real solemn assembly is, you know, going into like Passover, which is one of our holy days. Okay? See, that's something serious. And even then, our people will take something like the Passover and fucking celebrate during that time, man. You know? You got Hebrew Israelites, you know, from these other camps, you know? They're out there having a good old time at the strip club and, you know, renting out these big holes. You got niggas walking in on horses and shit. You know, that shit is just straight bugged out because this is a solemn assembly, meaning it's serious. Okay? So these people think that these are their serious holidays. They go all out for it. Okay? And the Lord hates those feast days and he despised them. Okay? It says, though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. All right. So they'll cook up all this abominated food, you know, and they'll make a peace offering unto the Lord, hold hands around the table and throw a prayer up. That's all an abomination, man. As the scriptures say, he that turneth away from the word of the Lord, even his prayer shall be an abomination. So here it is. We'll tell you the truth all day long about these wicked ass holidays, man. And then you'll go try to sit down at a table, all right, and throw a prayer up to the Lord like he hearing it. And y'all really think y'all being blessed. But you done turned away from the word, man. You turned your back on the Lord. So your prayer is always going to be an abomination, especially when you calling out on the true names of the Lord. It says, take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy vowels. All right? Yeah, and you got all these people singing Christmas songs, you know. Then when Christmas songs and Christmas caroling is done, you know, they'll go into their house and put on the radio and put on a whole bunch of abominated ass music, killer music, sexual music, you know. They getting drunk and preparing themselves for a sexual night, you know. You fuck around with these heathens, you know, they're going to turn it into an orgy party, become swingers for the night and shit. See, that's where all that paganism comes back into play. Okay. It says, but let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. You see, and eventually that's what happens, man. You know, after every holiday, you look on the next day of the news, man, you'll see a bunch. Watch, mark my words. After today and tomorrow, there's more after tomorrow. Watch the news. You're gonna hear a father of 5 killed his home, right? Killed everybody in his home on Christmas Eve. You know, you'll hear woman committed adultery against her husband on Christmas Eve, and he came back and killed her and her family and the nigga that she was cheating with. You see, or you'll have a whole gathering in the club. You know, everybody went to the club and 200 people died in the club because the fucking building collapsed on their ass. Which you've been seeing a lot of that more lately every year. You know, clubs collapsing and, you know, go up in flames. That's all judgment of the Lord because you trying to make mirth, all right, when there's no mirth left, man. Okay? You got New Year's Eve that's coming right around the corner. Okay? That's one of the worst of the holidays, man. That day they looking for Jake in the cars. Can't wait to arrest your ass while you drunk. You know, a lot of cars, drunk drivers crash, killing people in the cars. See, that's all judgment of the Lord. So you'll go out and celebrate and have a good time, a pleasure of sin for the day, right? But then the next week, there's a whole bunch of judgment. I mean, the next couple of days, there's a whole bunch of judgment being done for the rest of the week, all right, for the rest of the month. And then after every holiday, all right, because after every holiday, before every holiday, you have our holy days that come into play. Or if not, our holy days fall right on the time of these other holidays. All right. But as soon as Yahushua is done with his holy day, judgment gets turned up even more. Okay. Every single time, every year, it turns up even more and more. And you don't see just regular deaths of just 1 or 2 people. You see mass quantities of people being put to death, man. And that's the judgment of the Lord because he's tired of this place, man. I'm tired of that shit. All right. So I'm gonna pretty much leave it there through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Lord willing that you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Call Haloyan La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Qadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well, and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, and doing as good soldiers of Yahushua. You sisters continue to learn in silence, watching the true men of the Lord. The water, brother, for tuning in. The water for the precepts. All right. And Lord willing, like I said, the Lord put the spirit on me like he do every year to go out, you know, for the rest of the time till New Year's. All right. And you're going to see brothers going harder and harder through the spirit, especially on New Year's. You be seeing everybody out, while everybody partying it up, but you see the men of the Lord out here on these highways and hedges, all right, preaching the destruction of this place, man. And Lord willing, 2026 be a heavy year of a lot of destruction, man. All right. So with that being said, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah.